Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. I'm your host, Phil Friedrich, and today I'm honored to have Liris Crosse with me. She is an actress and a model, and one of the things that I think you're going to hear through her story today, which I really appreciate as I got to learn about her, is changing the mindset of the words that you use to describe yourself and others use to describe yourself has power in it. So Liris, thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. So to kick off your story, growing up, your parents were in church work. So talk a little bit about growing up in that type of a household and some of the maybe expectations that could have been placed on a kiddo.
Well, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, Randallstown to be exact. And I am the child of preachers. My parents were pastors of a church called Overcomers Tabernacle, which was their last church. But my father was in the United Methodist Assembly. And I mean, I think it's really beautiful now as an adult to look back. Although I think as a young child, you get a little annoyed being a preacher's kid because you have to go to church all the time and see the sick and the shut-in and the elderly. But I actually appreciate it now because I have such a soft spot for senior citizens. I really love and appreciate them. And but I will say the whole hospital things, I still don't really like to go to hospitals. It's just not my thing. But I was filled with the Word of God and Christianity. And, you know, I am no perfect person, but I definitely believe that the principles that my parents instilled in me, they have helped me in my adult life, and they've helped me to, realign myself at different times in my life, and also to help other people within their journey. So yeah, I got to experience the love and light of that, and also the annoyance of that as well, and the preconceived notions sometimes that people have about preachers' kids and how they're supposed to look, be, and act. And I think when I moved to New York after I graduated from high school to pursue my modeling dream, I felt like I was given a new opportunity to, kind of create my own identity. And I didn't have, it was a whole new world of people who didn't know me.
Yeah.
So they didn't know my parents. They didn't know the work that they had did in Baltimore City. So I got to make it as me. But the great thing about that is no matter how far you go away, what's instilled in you always still exists.
Yeah.
And I've been able to find the perfect balance that works for me as far as my spirituality and my love for what I do in acting and modeling and public speaking.
Yes. So talking about that, so my dad was a pastor in his first career, so I can understand the same expectations and, so a little bit of overshadowing and preconceived notions. I get all of that. What I also know is that when I shared with my dad, hey, I'm going to start my own financial planning practice, he thought I was crazy because that was a very out there concept. So you hinted at it already, but you go, hey, Dad, I'm graduating high school. I think I'm ready to, just move to New York and pursue this modeling thing. I can imagine there was, we're excited for you, but what the heck are you thinking? So talk a little bit about that conversation and the support or maybe lack thereof, depending on the time that you're talking.
Okay, so my junior year, I kept hearing these ads for this company called Model Search America. They're no longer around now. But those ads were like, come to this model call. And then if you get picked, you go to this big models convention where all the top agencies across the nation are there. And I had did some mall fashion shows back in Baltimore by this time, and some local small things. And I had told my mom, I really want to go to this casting. And my mom was like, oh, well, you know, like I'll talk it over with your dad. So they agreed that I could go. I went to the open call. They picked me to come to the convention. I went to the convention. I got callbacks, but they all wanted me to lose weight. And that was Elite Models, 17 magazine, and an agency called Michelle Pommier and Zoli. So I was like, okay, like, let me try to lose the weight and go back. I went back my senior year and I got even less callbacks, which of course I was disappointed in because I tried to lose the weight, but it just wasn't enough. I only got one callback from a local agency in my area in Baltimore, and that was called Nova Models. And so I remember that summer I was working my butt off. I had 2 jobs. I was a perfume model at the local Macy's. So I was helping to sell the Michael Jordan cologne and the Chanel perfumes. And I was also working at Bennigan's, and I was getting all enrolled to go to college, and I was supposed to go to Bowie State, but something in my spirit just told me, you should move to New York and pursue your dreams of modeling. Now, you would think it would be my mother who would be like, oh, you know, give her the opportunity. And it would be my dad who would be the one who would be like, oh, no, I'm not sending my daughter out there. And it was actually the opposite. My mom and dad spoke. My mom was the one who was very pensive about it.
Yeah.
And my dad was the person who, although he was a pastor, he also was an administrator at HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development, with the government. He also was an entrepreneur. My dad sold train whistles, video games, he sold Black art, he did all types of things. And I think because he had that entrepreneurial spirit, he said, I don't want my daughter to say woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I'm so glad that he felt that in his spirit, because he was the one who said, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity. We spoke to your aunt and uncle in New York, and they're going to house you, and we're going to give it a year and see what happens. And literally I moved up there, and never, like, it's been modeling ever since. And I'm so glad that my father believed in me, loved me, saw me. Let me say that again. He saw me, because a lot of times parents will hold back their children because of their own fears that they have. And I always say, and I even said this in my book, Make the World Your Runway. I'm so mad I don't have a copy right here beside me right now. But in my book, Make the World Your Runway, Top Model Secrets for Everyday Confidence and Success, you can get it on Amazon. But I talk about how some of the things that you see children do in their younger years, whether they are the kid that's like, cracks all their toys open and tries to put them back together. They may be an engineer, or if that person is just always talking about the injustices in their classroom and they just got the gift of gab, maybe they're supposed to be a lawyer. You know, you really need to allow your children to be free and see them, and let them show up as their authentic selves, so you can support that. And I felt like that's what my parents did, especially my dad. He saw that in me, and he supported that, and he gave me the opportunity to go out there and fulfill my dreams of modeling, and I haven't turned back.
I love that. Now, something I want to just dive into is, you know, you talked about that junior and that senior year. Hey, we think you're good enough, but we want you to lose weight. I mean, that's a tough thing to hear at any age, but certainly as a formidable 16, 17, 18-year-old. So talk a little bit about, you know, hearing that from, you know, these agencies that you really desire to be with, but being able to, you know, have the confidence to show up again the next year and not lose sight of where you want to go, even though these 4 agencies had a certain opinion of the way Liris should look?
Okay. Whew. It was, I'm not going to act like that was an easy thing to hear, because it
Yeah.
wasn't. Especially being someone who was an athlete year round.
Yeah.
I did cheerleading for football season, then I played basketball, and then for 2 of the years while I was in high school, I ran track and field.
Mm.
So it wasn't like I was sitting around doing nothing, just going to school and hanging out afterwards. I was a very active child.
Yeah.
And it felt crazy to hear that, but I just know that as a little girl, I had always dreamed of modeling. And so it was like, whatever I have to do to try to make this happen, okay, cool. So I remember I was working out, like I would go to basketball practice, but then I would still go like jog more after practice. And then it got to a place where I just wasn't necessarily eating the healthiest. I was eating a lot less, trying to lose the weight, kind of like starvation diet a bit. And it wasn't the healthiest thing to do, of course. And it wasn't going to be something that I was going to be able to maintain, because truthfully, I love to eat. I'm a foodie. I am a bit of a greedy person. I love food. Food like feeds my soul. So, although I did lose the weight, I still didn't lose enough. But this is when you really have to listen to that inner voice inside of you. And that inner voice said, you're not stopping here. You're still going to go after this.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I did, because truthfully, it was just, I said, you know what? If I have to go and pursue it from a commercial standpoint, let me just go be a commercial model, and then maybe I can still get the editorial things that I've always dreamed of.
Yeah.
And remember this, because I have an analogy for how this is about to be used through acting. Remind me in a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just told my family, I'm just going to move to New York to pursue it as a commercial model. I went there. I reached out to Model Search America. They said, come in, let's get some measurements and Polaroids of you, see how we can help you. They did that. And then they said, we're going to send you to an agency that has women that look like you. They're just a bit fuller. And that's when they had sent me to the first agency that I signed with, which was Wilhelmina Models. And they had a plus size board. And that means anywhere from a size 8 up to a size 20 at that time is what they allowed into the division. And when I went there, I just saw women who looked like me, who looked like my beautiful mother, my aunts. They were beautiful women. They just had more meat on their bones. And I was like, if this is what it's going to be for me to be able to make my dreams come true, let's do it.
I love it. So as you transition to New York, a first, few experiences that you get are on the music video side. And at one of those events, you happen to really enjoy the clothing of the designer. So you give them your card and you say, hey, if there's any other things that you think I could be a part of, let me know. So talk a little bit about that moment and then the movie that comes from that.
I love how you do your research. Yes. Okay, so that was when I did Cameron's horse and carriage video. I remember I had a short haircut at that time. The designer, her name was Hot Coco. And I just always knew, one thing that you have to do is network. And so I said, I thank you for your designs. You had me looking good. Here's my comp card. If you hear about any other castings, keep me posted. And she hit me up one day and said, hey, there is this audition for this movie by Malcolm Lee, who is Spike Lee's cousin. He's directing his first film. They are looking for people to play strippers in this movie. I know you're not a stripper, but can you dance? I said, yeah, I'm from Baltimore. We dance like real sexual anyway. So I got this. And she said, all right, well, I will see what I can do to send in to get you an opportunity to audition. And I auditioned for two of the different roles. One was Regina Hall's role that I read for, and the other role was the role that I ended up booking. And that was my first legit acting role. And I immediately became union with that role, which was another cool thing. And what else? I became union with that. And we shot it on my 21st birthday. That was like the most perfect gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving too, because I get residual checks every time it runs. So it's like, kudos. Like that was an awesome moment. And that is also the power of networking. You never know what little business card can help to open up a new opportunity for you. And the same thing happened with me when I started to model for bridal retailer Maggie Sotero. I had left a comp card with Curvaceous Couture Bridal in Baltimore, Maryland. Well, in Maryland, they're in a different part of Maryland, but the ladies down there, they ended up referring me to Maggie Sotero's head honchos there. And I ended up being their curvy spokesperson for about 4 years. So, I mean, the power of networking. You just never know who is speaking up for you in other rooms. You never know where a $1 to $3 comp card or business card can take you.
Absolutely. So something I want to highlight from that though is, and you kind of referenced it earlier when you said, moving to New York, one of the exciting things about it was I kind of got to reimagine myself, right? And there were no preconceived notions based on, who my family was or anything. It was just, I got to become who I wanted to become. And the other part of that is, how did our parents feel our first movie role? I can imagine that the pastors are like, where did we go wrong? What are people going to think? But for you, it's a movie, right? It wasn't the career choice. So talk a little bit about that.
Oh my God. Well, I will say this. I remember I told my parents that I did a movie and they were like, okay, well, what is your role? And I was like, oh, I can't talk about it. You'll see. And they were like, okay. And then as it got closer, they were like, well, like, what's your role? And I was like, oh, I play a dancer. And they're like, a dancer? I said, yeah, you'll see when the movie comes out. And of course, they found out that I was a dancer in the movie when they saw it. But this is the thing about when a parent really loves you and supports you. My dad, God rest his soul, he passed away in 2019. But my dad was my biggest fan and still is my biggest fan up in heaven now. I feel like he's working things out for me still. And my dad went in the pulpit and said, my daughter's in a movie. I mean, you want to talk about a dad who's going to brag about you? My dad, being the pastor on Sunday morning, was in the pulpit talking about my daughter's in a movie, but she is playing a role. She is acting. She is not a real dancer. She is acting, and she did a good job acting. So go see this movie. I'm so proud of her. I'm sure my parents will. My mom says she knew that something was up because I wasn't so forthcoming about the role. And then she said, when I said I was a dancer, she was like, But they were very proud of me, and they said I did a great job. And I think, again, that was a chance for me to create my own identity and go after what I wanted to do. And look, I'm going to say this because a few years before he passed, my dad had even found out about a nude shoot I did. I think it was for Plus Model magazine, and it was about body diversity. And it was very tastefully, artfully done. You know, it was art, like
Yeah.
the stuff you would post in your house, art.
Yes.
Wasn't pornographic or anything of that sort. But I remember when my dad found out about it, and he was like, I was a bit disappointed about these pictures that I heard about. And I said, and I understand that because I'm your baby girl.
Yep.
I said, but dad, it was something that I love,
Mm.
that I did, and I chose to do for my own personal reasons. He's like, okay, well, just know that I love you, and I said, and I love you too. And I know that's not going to change, but this was something that I'm proud of and that I wanted to do for myself. And I was glad that I was able to have the strength to vocalize that,
Yeah.
because when you're a daddy's girl, you never want to let your parent down, but you also have to find your own voice. Your
Right.
parents raise you so you're able to stand on your own 2 feet.
Mhm.
And that was a moment to me, like you stood 10 toes down on what you believed in and why you did it, and you loved it, and you still showed love and honor and respect to your dad even in that moment. So I was glad that I was able to do that. Of course, your parents are never going to like anything that exposes you, but you
Right.
have to be okay with who you are and
Yeah.
stand 10 toes deep on it, no matter what it is.
I love it. Now, as you progress through your career, you mentioned that at one point you're doing a photo shoot with I think it was Lane Bryant in Morocco, and you said that was a moment where I felt like I had started to make it. Not that this was going to be the end, right, or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I really felt like, wow, I've made it to a certain echelon. So, talk a little bit about what with that shoot specifically made you feel that way, and also all of the just attempts and trials that go into getting to a spot of feeling like, wow, I've arrived somewhere.
Well, by this time I had been signed to Wilhelmina. My very first year, I went casting after casting. I didn't book my first job to the end of my first year.
Wow.
And then that job paid anywhere from 150 to like maybe $250. So think about it. You've invested thousands of dollars into photo shoots, comp cards, your agency mailing out your book all over the place because they use messengers. So we had to pay for messenger fees for our books being
Yeah.
sent everywhere. Because, you know, that was before all this technology that we have now.
Yeah.
And and it just showed me that, like, it takes a second, but I knew that I was building. Like that first photo shoot, it made my pictures ended up on the same pages with, like, they had an insert of like Tyra Banks and Naomi
Mm.
Campbell. So that was a sign to me to keep going.
Yeah.
And then to do this shoot, for Lane Bryant, this was the first job that required me to have a passport. We flew to Morocco. We shot it in the Moroccan desert with famed photographer Walter Chin. He's shot big like Cartier campaigns and all types of stuff. And the fact that we had a team that, they had a whole production team, and we we took these caravans out to the middle of this desert, and they found this little village that I was shooting in. And I had, only a few hours after we landed in Morocco to get sleep. And then I had to wake up at the crack of dawn because we needed to get the right amount of sunlight to shoot in this right area. And then I'm changing behind sheets to get into my next look. And I just felt like a true supermodel. I felt
Yeah.
like, all the photo shoots that I had seen on fashion TV and some of the stuff in the magazines. I'm like, wow, I'm doing what those women are doing now. So that was definitely a moment where I felt like I had arrived.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, I think something that you just spoke on is so important, right? Someone listening right now is like, man, I've been working towards this for 3 years, 4 years, and I just don't feel like I'm at where I should be. And maybe they're losing a little bit of hope of what could be. And I think, you know, something that you hinted at is recognizing that the small wins coupled with the, you know, hard work and the dedication to it
Mhm.
eventually can pay off. So talk about, you know, just continuing to keep hope in what you knew was possible with the small wins.
Listen, first of all, y'all, my allergies have been kicking my butt, so excuse my runny eyes today. But I'm gonna say this, and this is just as transparent as it gets.
Yeah.
I still have these moments.
Mm.
Ooh, I'm not gonna get emotional right now, but
No, it's
I
the
still
allergies. It's
have,
the allergies.
but I truly do still have these moments sometimes because there are a lot of things that I've accomplished, but there are things that I still haven't accomplished. And and this is when you really do have to tap into your gratitude. And this is when you do have to make that list and say, okay, I may not have gotten this, but like you said, the small wins are adding up to the bigger win. So
Yeah.
for Lyris, you were able to do this, you accomplished that, you did this. And if you really believe, like you say, Lyris, that everything is working for your good,
Mm.
and everything that I'm going through is setting me up for the next level of where I'm going, then you know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And something greater is coming, but you just have to keep going. And there are times that I've wanted to quit. And those times when I've gotten so close and wanted to quit, literally, something just pushes me a little bit more and I keep going. And I'm like, wow, if I would have gave up 3 months ago, I wouldn't have had this opportunity
Mm.
right now. Right now. So you have to tap into your gratitude. You have to make that list about your small wins.
Yeah.
And you have to also, because sometimes we get into this comparison thing.
Yeah.
We see other people who are similar to us, sometimes not totally similar, but you're like, wait a minute, they're getting this, they're doing that, they're doing this. What about me? I'm working hard. But my story is my story.
Mm.
Their story is their story. And I don't know everything that they've gone through.
Yep.
They may be making it look easy, but could have had a treacherous time behind the scenes, just like me.
Yes.
So you just have to keep going. It's kind of like that meme that I'm sure a lot of people have seen on Instagram and Facebook, where the guy is in the dungeon or the cave, and he has the ratchet, and he's plowing through, and he's
Yep.
trying to get through the diamond, and then you see the diamond is literally right there, but
Yep.
his back is turned with the ratchet over his shoulder. And it's like, no, you just need to hit it one more time. It's right there.
Yes.
And I think sometimes I just envision that picture and I'm like, Lyris, you're almost there.
Mm.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Everything is working for your good. Everything is aligning. And it takes time. And as much as we don't want to, say like, why does this have to take so long? When
Yeah.
you think about it, a lot of times those people who like hit the lottery out of nowhere and they get this big windfall of money, they end up broke in a few
Yeah.
years. You
Yep.
know why? Because there's something about the process.
Mm.
There is beauty in the process. There's a pruning in the process. The process, that person who saves a little money here and then they get a better job and they start putting more money away. They've learned how to manage their money. They've learned how to save. They learn how to do certain things. So that way, when their income increased to $1 million a year, they've already been faithful over the 100,000 a year or the
Yes.
50,000. So they're not losing that money. They're building upon that. That's why you
Yes.
see, like, I was talking to my cousin and he's a doctor. And I look at him and, he went through a lot of schooling to
Yeah.
become a doctor. And he's successful now, but you can look at probably somebody who went to school with him, who probably went to the MBA, and they don't even have the lifestyle or able to do the certain things that he does because he slowly built his wealth.
Yes.
Rather than got his wealth quick out of nowhere. Even though, you know, you do have to put in a certain amount of time to make it to the MBA. But I
Yeah.
say that all because in the process, we learn how to maintain and sustain the things that we really need. And it goes the same for us in career. It's
Yes.
all preparing us for that next level of where we're going to go and who we're going to be. And there's so much in the process that trains us and prepares us for where we're going. So it may be taking a second, but everything is working for my good. Everything. I don't know who I'm talking to out there. Everything is working for your good.
Mm.
It's coming together. It's aligning. Keep going, keep believing, keep doing, keep seeing, keep trying. Just keep going. But everything is working together for your good. Everything.
Rewind that, listen to that over and over. That is good. Now, one of the neat accolades that you got was in 2013 when you won the Plus Print Model of the Year award. And something that I heard you talk about in an interview was how there are certain, you know, words that people can view as like negatives, and how there's actually power in those and good power in them. And so, you know, once again, for you, being plus size category, right? Being a Black female, you know, all of those different things that sometimes people correlate. Well, man, they're saying that as a negative way. You've turned that and you see it as there's so many positives in that. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that's super powerful, you know, hearing it in a way that there's power in the word, opposed to, wow, this is taking away from me in some way, or it's, you know, positioning me in a place of negativity.
Well, I always said, you know, some people would say plus. I don't like to be called plus. I said, but plus means more.
Yeah.
I said, who doesn't want more? Like,
Yeah.
I like a little more on my plate. I like a
Yeah.
little bit more money in my bank account. I said, that means I am above and beyond. I
Mm,
am more.
yeah.
And I just didn't look as there's power in our words. Do
Mhm.
you look at the word plus as a dirty word, or do you look at it as just a descriptor? For
Yeah.
me, it's just a descriptor, so I'm able to find my clothes. But if I wanted to break down the definition means more. So yes, I always say I'm more. I'm plus hips and lips and curves and brain and love. I am more. And I
Yeah.
am proud of that. And
Yeah.
because of that, I took the sting out of what people said. So when they said plus, I didn't look at it as a dirty word. Plus, oh yeah, you need more? Yes, that's me. All the plus models over here. Oh, we need the plus girls over here. Oh yeah, I'm here. You
Yeah.
need more. You need more. I am here. Yes. And I think you know, you could do that with the word fat. You could do that with the word short. Words that sometimes people take and they make it this dirty word or bad word. It's, to me, it's just a descriptor for me to be able to find my clothes, my section, and it's helpful to me. And it's just allowed me to really, really love me as I am, how I am in this very moment.
Yes. Now, in addition to that award in 2013, in 2017, you get on Project Runway and just get to crush that. So talk about just the whole experience and, you know, and some great takeaways. And I mean, once again, I'm sure phenomenal relationships and opportunities that came from that also.
Oh, oh my gosh. I remember before that, I think it was either 2015 or 2016, I was the first Black plus size model to walk in a designer finale.
Mm.
That was with Ashley Nell Tipton. And that was on season I believe 14.
Okay.
Because the season where I was there for the week-to-week designer competitions was season 16. But I remember when we did that designer finale on season, I believe it's 14. Don't I could be wrong, but you all can look it up. Um, I remember I said to the casting director, Paul, I said, wouldn't it be amazing if we had plus models for the week-to-week designer competitions? And he said, yeah, it really would. I said, well, I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed that one day it happens. And he said, no doubt. So when Tim Gunn pushed for that change, and then they opened up casting for that, the casting director for Project Runway said, I had to have you come back for that because, you know, I remember when you mentioned that to me. And so I went in there, I put my best foot forward, literally, for that runway audition. And then I was picked. And I remember my first day, I said, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to represent for myself, but I'm going to represent for plus women
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah.
because I know there's going to be a certain level of scrutiny because it's the first time it's being done.
Mhm.
And I mean, I showed up. I was never late. I was on time every day. I tried my best to have my hair prepped and as easy and readily available for however it needed to be done for the show that day. I put my best walks out there, and it really made a difference. This was also the first season where they were filming the models' comments. And because I am, you know, I've done a lot of interviews and I'm also a very opinionated person. I ran with that too, where some of the other girls were scared to speak their opinion. Liris wasn't. So so I really made my thoughts known, and a lot of people gravitated to me. They said, we love your walk, we love your talk, we love your confidence. You just step out on that runway with such confidence and power. And because of that, I created a whole new fan base just from being on Project Runway, where some of these people thought like it was like my first modeling job. I'm like, no, I've been around for quite some time. But I was so glad that they found me. And that's
Yeah.
because these opportunities weren't readily available for plus models to be showcased in this light. So I was able to create a new fan base and a new, like, you know, the cat of nine lives.
Yeah.
I got another life out there because of Project Runway. And then that really, because I had so many people that were reaching out to me on social media and at different events, that is what birthed my book, Make the World Your Runway, by Liris Crosse. And
Yeah.
I, you know, that, and also appearing on the Steve Harvey
Steve Harvey show.
show.
Yes.
Yeah, I did a like modeling confidence boot camp for everyday women.
Hmm.
And I call it the Make the World Your Runway boot camp. And who knows, I may try to bring that back this year, because drum roll, big announcement here. I am returning for season 20 of Project Runway.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that because this is their all-star season, and I am an all-star now. So
Yes.
because on season 16, I became the first plus model to win the model portion of Project Runway. So I have not been back on the show since season 16, and it is a honor to return for season 20 and make my presence known yet again on Project Runway.
Yes. Now you talked about the book, so let's go to that direction, because I think, you know, it's easy for someone listening to say, well, I'm not a model, you know, like
Mhm,
I'm not on a runway, I'm not having people take photographs of me and things of that.
mhm.
But I think the concepts you talk about are so transferable, right? It's
Mhm.
not just confidence to be a model, it's confidence of how you present yourself daily, how you're showing up, how people are interacting with you.
Exactly.
So talk a little bit about that for, the rest of us that aren't in the modeling game.
Well, the book is for everyone. I mean,
Yes.
I remember I was actually at Curvaceous Couture Bridal doing a pop-up event with them. And a man who was in his um, late 50s had told me that he was reading the book and it really blessed him.
Yeah.
And that's a grown man, okay?
Yeah.
And I love it because it just shows you that the book is for everyone.
Yep.
It is basically me taking stories from my modeling life and speaking on it from a perspective of a life coach.
Yeah.
So, believe it or not, all of us are on a runway. We are on the runway of life every day.
Yeah.
So, how do you make the world your runway? That could be when you're walking down the grocery aisle and you're hoping that that cutie in the supermarket notices you. You are making the world your runway when you just graduated from college and you're walking into that office for that first big interview. You are making the world your runway when you are a bride, maybe for the second time, and you're walking down the aisle to really meet the true love of your life. You every day that we step out on the sidewalk, we are making the world our runway. How we show up, how we attract other people, what is our confidence like?
Mhm.
There are different things that models use in their everyday lives that we could all use. And this is what I talk about in the book,
Yeah.
from your poise, your presence, your presentation, your posture. Your posture is how your body is aligned, right? How your back
Yeah.
is aligned and how your posture, how you stand up. But how are you standing up for yourself in your life?
Yeah.
Who are you aligned with in your life? And how does that affect the posture of your life? I
Mm.
talk about all this stuff in the book. And these are things that make a difference in a model's life, but it also makes a difference in your life. And I love it because I felt like all of the points still point back to confidence. And confidence doesn't have to look like how it does on me. We all have our own way. And we all make an impact in the world, whether you want to believe it or not. You don't have to be on TV or on radio or on a podcast
Yeah.
to make a difference. You can make a difference in your neighborhood. You can
Yeah.
make a difference in your family. You can make a difference in your apartment building. You can make a difference at the doctor's office
Yep.
with how you show up, how you affect others, how you speak into their life, how you share your mindset, how you walk within the mindset that you have. It all is how we color the world and how we show up and how we make the world our runway. So
Absolutely.
I love the book. You need to get a copy, not yesterday, but today. Like, hurry up, like, get one right now. It is on Amazon. Make the World Your Runway by Liris Crosse. The foreword is written by Tim Gunn.
Yes.
And literally, his foreword just brought tears to my eyes because it was just so touching. Because I didn't even, it just shows you, I was just showing up being me, but
Yeah.
I had such an effect on Tim, and he talks about it in his foreword. Um, and this is why I say we just all don't know how we're having an effect on other people from the littlest things that we do. So I guarantee you the book will bless you. And it will, I always say it will renew your mindset and um, give you that confidence and boost to like try again.
Yes. I love it. Yes. Go get a copy. Now,
Yes.
we've talked a lot on the modeling side and a little on the acting side, but you've been in so many different TV shows. But one of them that I mean everyone will be familiar with was Law and Order. So talk a little bit about how some of the different opportunities inside of the acting world, parlayed maybe from either interactions you had in the modeling world or just connections you had made outside of modeling as well.
Okay. Well, I will say this. I I've always done some things here and there as far as in the acting world. I've been on The Wire. I worked on Baby Boy. My first film was The Best Man. Um, but as of late, I recently had a recurring role on Law and Order Organized Crime.
Yeah.
And that was just, it was amazing. Chef kiss. Like, but I also appeared on Law and Order SVU years ago.
Yeah.
I had a small under 5 role on there. And let me say this, during the pandemic, you know, we all went through so much and we had so much time on our
Yeah.
hands. We were home just working, and thankfully, just talking to one of my managers, her name is Nasli Chigundu. God bless her soul. She has just been my right hand, and she has really helped me to, um, you know, keep afloat and maximize my opportunities. I remember we were talking, and she was like, "Oh, okay, you got to act an audition for that." She said, "You know what? Why don't you just start taking class like once a week and work on your acting stuff?" She's like, "So that way, when outside opens, you're ready." So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing of stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
And I'm so glad I did, because I did the work with building and learning and growing as an actor with my acting coach, Curtis Beckle. Shout out to him. He's in New Mexico. We've literally never met in person. We have created a great working relationship over Zoom and FaceTime. He's taught, I've listened, I've grown, I've taken the constructive criticism, I've stretched myself. I remember when I would be like, oh my gosh, 2 pages. How am I going to memorize 2 pages? To the point where it's like, now it's like, oh, okay, I got this 10 pages that I need to memorize for these 3 different scenes. And next thing you know, I done memorized it within an hour or so,
Wow. Yeah.
sometimes less. Um, and that's because of me exercising that actor's muscle,
Hmm.
and preparing and getting myself ready, which I did. So when Outside opened and I got that audition for Law and Order Organized Crime, I did it. I turned in an amazing audition. They sent a offer, and I got the opportunity to work on that last year, and it was a dream come true.
Yeah.
Just, being there on set with Chris Maloney,
Yeah.
uh, Daniel Monet Truitt, Dennis Leary, amazing
Yeah.
opportunity. I felt like literally I got paid to get free class. That's what it felt like. But it was really a dream, and I loved it. And that's why now I am just more focused on acting. I've
Yeah.
done a lot of modeling things, and there's still a lot of other things in the modeling world that I would like to achieve. And this is why I was going to say that analogy
Yeah.
that I was going to come back to. I said, maybe some of the things that I haven't achieved in modeling, I will get that
Mm.
through my acting, because
Mm.
now you're seeing actors get these makeup contracts, these sponsorship and spokesperson deals. So sometimes you have to go an alternate way to get what you want.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm good at acting and I'm growing as an actor. Let me not be afraid to try this tentacle of my career to maybe get some of the other things that I want as a model.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. So I'm just thankful. The journey is definitely stretching me and growing me as an artist, but also as a human being,
Yeah.
because you tap into so many emotions, so many different things that you may have tucked away.
Yeah.
They come up as you try to prepare for different characters, and tap into different memories that can help to color the scene with the certain emotion which is needed for the audition. So it's definitely making me more introspective and even more self-aware. Some days you're like, dang, I don't even want to know this part of myself right now.
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of growing older. You're getting to live, but you're also getting the opportunity to reflect and see what you've overcome or what you've gone through, and you're able to process it and look at it from different points of view and use it at times too within the acting. And like today, like as soon as we get off of this, I have acting class at like 5 o'clock. So I know I'm about to probably be another ball of emotions in class today, and I'm excited for it. But you know, it's funny because even though acting has been within my modeling career, I'm now doing that flip where acting is my higher thing and modeling is like my lower thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm literally going through and doing what it says in my book about, like, like in my book, I talk about, like, if there's something that you want to immerse yourself into the culture of it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the same thing with acting now. It's like, instead of, I'm still going to fashion events here and there, but now I'm like going to SAG screenings and events and actors gyms and watching all these different things about actors and following all these different accounts on social media about acting, so I can get all these different points of view. I'm immersing myself in the culture of it. So it's like I'm following the same principles that are in my book, but now I'm applying it to a different tentacle of my career. So it's like, you know what? I wrote the plan, and it really can work for any occupation that you want it to. And I'm really thankful and proud of, you know, it's just the power of, I call it the power of the pivot.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change course. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't worry about your age. Don't worry about your size. Don't worry about your level of experience. Just try. Just do it. You never know what opportunities lay in front of you till you do it. And I'm glad that I'm not letting size or age or race or anything like that hold me back. I'm just going to go out there and put my best work forward. And, God has no choice but to continue to allow things to align for me in life, because I'm just putting my best out there, period.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think we can end on a better note than that. That's perfect. So, Liris, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story, just the pivotal moments, and super excited just continue to watch your journey and all the amazing things that you're going to continue to do. I mean, you've already blazed an amazing trail, and someone that people can certainly look up to, just overcoming obstacles in pursuit of what you knew you were called to do, and you're having high levels of success in it. And so it's fun to see that. But go out, get her book, and where can they follow you on social media?
Follow me on Instagram at Liris C, which is Liris, the letter C for my last name, Crosse. So again, that's Lirisc. You can follow me there on Instagram as well as on Twitter. On Facebook, I only have 2 pages. One is a public figure page and one is my personal page, which you will see has a verified mark on it. and it's under Liris Crosse. Anything else that you see is a fake. And on YouTube, I have two channels. One is youtube.com/LC78. And then the other one is an old channel, which is under Liris C. Again, I don't know how to grab that channel to get ownership of it because it was created so long ago. But I just want to say, follow me there. Follow me on Instagram. I'm real active on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok too, which I plan to try to get more active. And that's under Liris Crosse on TikTok. But follow me there and follow my journey. And, you know, check out my Insta story because I'm always posting little information or stuff that's like really funny that can make your day. So follow me there and get my book. Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. I'm going to say that again. Change your mind, change your life. We have so much power that is in here and in here. But we have to be careful what we speak out of here, but we have to be even more careful what we believe in here. So change your mind, change your life. And if nobody has told you today that they love you, I love you, God loves you. Have an awesome, awesome week.
Boom.